he had raised by him. And unfortunately, it's not fair, but just because of who he is, he has to do like a magical job. And I just think he did a good job, not a magical job.
Um, okay. Let's take a look at the second video and then we'll discuss that.
I fully understand how high the cost of gas is because I fill up my own gas tank. I drive myself around the state, unlike Lieutenant Governor Barnes, who is chauffeured around by State Patrol, costing taxpayers over $600,000 through last November.
The senator should be so audacious. He fails to mention that taxpayers had to foot the bill for his private plane trips between D.C. and his $3 million mansion in Florida, the vacation home. The 2017 tax plan also gave tax benefits for people who make private plane purchases. Guess who bought a few private planes right after the 2017 tax bill was signed? Senator Johnson's family. We're paying for that. Working class families are footing the bill for millionaire lifestyles, and it needs to stop.
Diaz, I understand what you're saying. I really do. It depends, but in my opinion, it depends on what the person is. Mandela Barnes is not that. He's not that high up in the political circle to go, no, not him. Let me tell you about me. So what he had to do is take the theory of, okay, you may not know that much about me and my policies and my beliefs, but I'm definitely going to tell you all of Ron Johnson's policies and belief. And believe me, I'm nowhere near Ron Johnson.
Yeah, but like that clip you just played, this last one, for me, what I walked away from that one, when you were watching the actual part of that debate, was, yeah, I'm a crook, and so is he. That was like one of the worst moments of that entire debate.
Yeah, because he never did answer the question about being driven around.
Right. Basically, the best answer he did offer, and he did it like twice, but they both were surrounding pretty much the same issue. So you're going to call me out for doing the same thing you do? That's okay. So basically, you're telling me that you both are going to waste my money.
Right.
That's what you just said, right? It's just that he wastes more of my money.
So one thing, that's why
that was not a good.
That's why I didn't want to show that Herschel Walker. Can't remember the other guy.
Raphael Warnock.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to show that one, because that was just.
I feel sorry for Georgia. I'm like, y'all.
I'm just like, both of y'all are just absolutely terrible. You may be terrible on a different level, and we know who's the higher terrible than anybody else. But it's like
Warnock wasn't terrible. Warnock was boring.
Warnock was
boring.
And Warnock, overly scripted.
Warnock had a terrible moment.
Yeah, he's a bad debater.
But he took a bump. He took a bump upwards. I'm like, how did that happen?
Talking about who? Herschel?
Warnock.
Warnock, he took a bump upwards probably because we're getting closer to the election, and it depends on who they bother to ask at any given time. Like, that's the other thing that runs behind the scenes that oftentimes, like, I sometimes don't even think about it until after the fact. But all these polls are bullshit because they never really tell you sample size, demographics, where they went to get it, when they went to get it. You know, we don't get any of that. What we get is 45, 49. You know, it's like, but the demon's in the details, right? So if you're not talking to any young voters, then we don't know how this group of young voters versus that group of young voters votes. You're not talking to working age, or you're not talking to parents, or you're not talking to business owners, or, you know, name your slice. But instead what they do is they just come up with this random amalgamation that no one knows any of the formula for. And they say this is what America wants, because America is so addicted to TV and entertainment and don't make me read it, tell it to me, that the media just has to say whatever it needs to say, because as long as we can keep everyone thinking that this is a tight horse race, because every election cycle within the last 60 days, it's always tight. It's always the same message every time. Okay. So they do that because they need to keep us engaged because they have advertisers.
But I do have
Right?
one question, everybody, though.
What?
Who told Herschel to bring that fake badge?
Oh, he thought that was a good idea.
Oh, he
I
done
was sitting
told
there
me.
like,
Yeah.
Herschel, football has did a lot of damage to you. That ain't it. I mean, I laugh, but I literally had tears in my eyes from laughing so hard. I'm like,
And here's the deal, Tracy. I
did
can
you
answer
just
that
pull out a
question.
fake badge? Like you
Who
got it
told
out
him
of a
to
cereal box?
Who told him to bring out that fake badge?
His
Herschel.
consultant.
No,
Mhm.
Herschel. I guarantee you, his people probably looked at him and went, "What the hell are you doing?"
And then they immediately put out commercials right behind it with another active sheriff, deputy or sheriff, one of the two, talking about how this is real and this is my guy and he helps with this and he helps with that. So
Mhm.
it wasn't as spontaneous as people think, right? And if you listen to how the moderator admonished him, he had
But you're
already
right.
tried to present that badge prior to the debate,
Yep.
and they told him no.
No.
And then he did it anyway because it was part of his ad campaign that was going to follow.
Mhm.
You know, so none
I
of this
still thought
stuff
it was
is
funny.
like accident. Oh, it was hilarious and
Mhm.
sad, but but it's all feeding back
Sometimes
into
I
that.
feel
that way.
sorry for Herschel Walker, but then he does.
Never,
Then he brings out the badge. And I'm like, dude, no.
no, I never feel sorry for Herschel because Herschel was sent in there as a Sambo. They had Raphael Warnock coming up for his first time having to defend his seat because he was elected under a special situation. So he only had 2 years and then he had to go and run for his full term. And they were like, okay, so we want to go up against the black pastor of Martin Luther King's church. We don't really have a white Republican that we can put up against him that's ready to go, right? Because it'd be too easy to feed into the racial argument if we do that. So the only thing we can do is we either need to get a white woman or we need to get a black man. Now, there's a case to be they could have went and got someone who was Asian, but they're not yet ready to try to put their Asian Republicans up in the light that way because too much of their base is rabidly anti-Asian. Okay, so they had only a black and white choice. So then they said, okay, well, where can we get a black man to
Texas.
go and fight this black man? And they
Yep.
reached clean off the Texas and grabbed Herschel because he's a sports legend here. I'm in Georgia, folks. So he's a sports legend here. So they brought him over. Doesn't matter the fact that it's purely carpetbagging. Doesn't matter that he has no policy positions whatsoever. It's
Yes,
just
he
they needed a
does.
black man to fight a
But
black man.
he does have a policy position. America sent China its good air.
Oh, yeah.
And then China sent America its bad air. And that's why the environment is so bad.
And somehow he blamed the trees too. So it was, yeah. Yeah,
How is that a
You
policy
know what?
position?
Didn't I tell y'all I didn't want to show it that we sitting there talking about that man? I'm
But
not
Yeah.
putting no brain cells
I
out
just
there,
wanted to know
dude.
about the
I'm
badge.
not
It was,
doing it. Every
it's
time I
valid
even
though.
listen to a policy of his, I feel dumber.
what
But the thing
policy? He
is,
doesn't have any. He's anti-abortion apparently, but he pays women to have abortions. Then he's a sheriff, but then he pulls out fake badges. It's like,
they would never have allowed that to happen, Parker, because Brian Kemp is more valuable as a governor than
yep,
ever trying to run him as a senator.
yep.
Because if he ran for Senate, then Stacey Abrams would have no qualified opponent, and she would become the governor. And that scares them so much more than just one more senator, right? They're not ready for that one. And then he would have to try to win. Well, both of them are statewide contests, but it's just a matter of they would never give up the governor's seat for a Senate chair. They ain't gonna do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to skip the Marcus Flowers versus Marjorie Taylor Greene cause
Oh dang!
um,
Dang.
Of all the
Okay,
ones to skip, you
I'll
picked that
show
one?
you the short one, but I
Maybe Marjorie
never knew
Green.
how irritating this woman's
And
voice
Margaret
is.
Taylor.
And I know that's petty, but
It's not petty. Her voice is very shrill. And I know we're not supposed to say that about a woman's voice, but I'm sorry. Her voice is shrill.
I
It's a
could care less.
really
I'm talking about
annoying